Welcome to the Growth Boss podcast, where we seek out the secrets to high-performing campaigns from some of the smartest marketers in the world. I'm your host, Jared Smith. Today, I have Apoorv Sharma with me, and he's going to teach us why your next 1,000 users are on AI search. Apoorv is the founder of Derivate X, where he helps SaaS companies turn SEO into their main revenue driver. With a focus on predictable growth, Apoorv and his team specialize in improving rankings and revenue of their businesses. They help companies scale from 5 million to 50 million ARR through effective SEO strategies, high converting content, technical fixes, and smart backlink and PR tactics. I've been following Apoorv for the last month on X, and I've been very impressed with his knowledge of LLM and AI SEO. So I've invited him onto the show today to share his best tips with you. Apoorv, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for hosting me. And that's one of the best and most concise introduction I've ever heard, honestly.
Thank you.
I could give one.
Fantastic. Well, why don't we, as a starting point, maybe give people an overview of what LLM and AI SEO is. I think people understand ChatGPT a little bit, but I don't think they understand the full breadth of where this is going.
Right. Okay. So think of it from a perspective. LLM SEO is nothing but you trying to rank your website inside ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and all the other LLMs out there. So the shift has begun wherein about 6 months or 1 year back, you were fighting to rank on Google on the page 1, top 3 results, top 10 results. Now you're fighting for the same thing, but now the distribution is ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, and a lot of different LLMs out there. And there are multiple names to it. So I like calling it LLM SEO, which is LLM, Search Engine Optimization. Some people call it AISO, which is Artificial Intelligence Search Optimization. A lot of different names. I have this theory that it is still SEO. The acronym has changed to Search Experience Optimization. We'll talk about how and when, but yeah.
Exactly, because ultimately people are still searching, right? And ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, these are still search engines. So, it is still SEO, whatever you want to put before it, after it, it doesn't matter to me. I've heard everybody throw out different things, but the bottom line is, and this is what I was just talking to Apoorv about before we hit record, is this is the future. A lot of businesses right now are struggling in Google, even if they have the number 1 ranking, because you've got 4 ads at the top. If you're a local business, you've got 3 map listings. Then you got an AI overview probably thrown in there somewhere. I mean, you could be number 1, but you're realistically like the 8th or 9th listing on the page. So everybody really needs to pay attention to this. I know for me, I'm one of those users that was probably a little bit slow to jump onto ChatGPT. But once I did, now it's all I use, right? I mean, I'm like, this is 100% the future and way better than Google. So talk to us about the keys to success in ranking on these LLMs. What have you found to help your clients the most?
Okay, so first of all, I totally agree with you. A big transition has happened, especially in the last 6 to 8 months, wherein a lot of people have already started jumping to ChatGPT, and now ChatGPT is everything that they use, including for all the searches, for all the queries, and for all the relevant answer. For example, my mom, she's a native Hindi speaker. She does not know English, right? She speaks with this ChatGPT voice assistant now because she likes to. My girlfriend, she used ChatGPT as a therapist. My younger brother, he used ChatGPT as a content writer. So there are a lot of different roles that ChatGPT specifically, because it has a major market share in LLMs, is being used for. Now, when it comes to ranking on LLMs, the very first thing that everyone has to understand is what is the difference between what we have been doing till now versus what has to be done now. So let me I can give you this one theory. I showed this to a client today, but yeah. Look at this pen, this blue shining pen. This is traditional SEO. And this traditional SEO has been in the industry for over 2 decades now, right? And everyone in the industry knows that traditional SEO consists of 3 major things, which is technical SEO, content part, and the shiny silver part, which is backlinks. Right?
Yeah.
Now, since last 2 decades, everyone is just telling you the same framework. They're just changing the direction of the pen, changing the locations, but yeah, in a fisheye view, it's just the same thing. But now comes traditional SEO, which is just I'm just using whatever I have in my table right now, but yeah. So, which is AirPod. Now with AirPod it's a blank white case. There's no way to get in. But the moment you open it up, you use it for once, and you will forget the experience of the wired earphones, right? It's so good. And you don't feel like going back to Google again. But how does one rank inside ChatGPT or any other LLM? The idea is it does not have any backlink, it does not have any content part. It's one entity instead of three different parts accumulated at one thing, right? So the entire idea is herein you are focusing a technical, which is the foundation, then the content part and the backlink part. Herein the things have been changed. You're building on the same foundation, which is the technical part. It has to be sorted. Okay. But here comes the context plus mentions. So now think of it from a perspective that when Google comes to your website, Google crawlers come to your website, they crawl it like a robot. They go to your code, they read the robots.txt file, they read your sitemap, then they read everything, right? Everything that we have optimized it from. For LLM specifically, they come to your page, they read it like robots, like humans, sorry. The thing is, the better you provide the context, the better the output will be. And the best part is, when you use ChatGPT, it has two searches. One is simple search and one is contextual search. So for example, let's say Jared goes to ChatGPT right now. For the very first time, he turns on the temporary chat so that all the memory fades away. There's no memory of whatever he has used in ChatGPT till now. And he searches for the best Americano in the world, right? There's a high chance that he'll get the same results that he's getting on Bing or on DuckDuckGo or on Google, because that's where the data is being fetched from. But now let's say, Apoorv, I'm a coffee lover by the way, I'm vegan, and I love to smoke while I'm sipping my coffee. ChatGPT now has a big context about me. So the moment I ask it for the best coffee in the world, there's a high chance that it will recommend a cappuccino to me instead of Americano. So that is contextual research. One is simple research. Simple one is hard to crack because we have no idea when or where from our LLMs fetching the data, but contextual is in the hands. So what's working right now with our clients is we have created a framework, we are using it, we are changing it every day, we are changing the reporting part, we are changing the sources attribution part and everything at once. So I think let's dive into that properly with this podcast later. But yeah, does this make sense? Whatever I said, the entire environment.
100%. It really does. So I think you were going to go into kind of your framework in terms of how you guys look at that.
Okay, perfect. So it started with about 6-7 months back, wherein we were trying to make some. Everyone knows and everyone has known that ChatGPT is the future, or Google is definitely not the future, right? Somehow or somewhere down the line, it's gonna be doomed for some reason.
Yeah.
And everyone knows why. But yeah, let's not go there. The thing is, we were trying to figure out how can we make someone rank on ChatGPT. That was a P1, and any other LLM after that, Perplexity, Gemini comes later. So we tried ranking our own website. So our main domain was derivatex.com. Okay, we tried a lot of different things to make it rank. In about 1.5 months, we made the entire website so bad that it was not even ranking on Google. So we realized the mistakes. We timed the entire thing out, and we then registered a new domain, derivatex.agency, which is the current live domain. Then we tried something else, which clicked, and in about 1.5 months, we were ranking for the best Martech SaaS SEO agencies on ChatGPT. The best part was, even when we were searching from the simple search point of view that we just discussed, and from the contextual search point of view, the results were same. We were either in the position 1 or in the position 3. So that really helped us out in getting more pilot clients. And we just reached out to a few prospects, asked them, okay, are you interested in getting featured on ChatGPT? This is what we have done till now, and this is what we're planning to. We got 2 prospects who were interested. We converted them on a pilot mode for 2 months. Both of them got good results. One is Gumlet. I'm allowed to talk about it publicly. I have my case studies live on Twitter and everything. Yep. And in about from Feb 1st to March 25th, they have gotten about 5.5k sessions alone from ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini.
Wow.
And these results are out with the screenshots and everything on Twitter, just in case someone wants to chat. So what we did, that's the best question, right? Taking the pen theory again, the technical SEO part. That was the P1. Without it, no LLM SEO will work. That's one thing for sure. The second part is LLM SEO is not as sexy as traditional SEO, right? You don't have someone to reach out to for backlinks. You don't have someone to reach out to the content part. Everything works differently, but ironically, everything works the same way. What happens is, let's say Jared comes to me with a website that they want to rank on LLM SEO. My first step would be to fix the technical part. Once that is sorted, the second step is to make sure that I do a proper audit. So, understanding what queries, particularly your ICP is searching for on ChatGPT or Perplexity, and based on that, we map out the entire thing. So, there's a proper Excel sheet. We map out about 50 to 100 prompts, see what other competitors are ranking here, and then comes the third step, which is the most crucial one here, researching very deeply about from where exactly are these LLMs fetching this data. Because this is very crucial for us to understand. If we figure out, for example, I was doing this morning today. We figured out that one of our competitors' query, which is one of the most profitable query for them, the answers was being fetched from an Instagram reel, the caption. And we realized, okay, this is something new because we have not seen Instagram as the source attribution of any of LLM's answer till now. Reddit has been the top one, second one being the Medium or Quora, and other UGC content pieces. In fact, Stack Overflow as well. So the third step is source attribution. Once we figure that out, then we jump on the contextual mapping. So what happens is, have you ever heard of the hot dog theory from Google?
Yes.
Perfect. So the idea is, you need to provide a signal to Google. So for example, if it's a coffee that I'm selling, right? And I have the homepage bestcoffeeintheworld.com. And I'm creating content pieces about why you should drink Americano, why you should drink cappuccino, better for your health and everything. I'm creating a content cluster and I'm giving a signal to Google specifically that this is what I do. And you should take this as a positive signal so that when someone is searching for something related, because Google also has a recommendation engine, right? It also gives you a result based on your history, user browsing history. So I'm trying to get right there. But now when it comes to the LLM SEO part, I need to provide better context. So for example, let's say bestwordinthecoffee.com, the best USP of this coffee is that it comes in a red cup. I'm just taking some random example, okay?
Sure.
Let's say someone based out of Florida, James loves sipping coffee in a red cup. He goes to ChatGPT, he searches for, I want to try some new coffee. What should I try? Automatically now LLM has a better context that I sell coffee in a red cup. James to sip coffee from a red cup. This alignment. And that's exactly where I'm going to come as a result. Mm-hmm. So the fourth step is basically contextual mapping. How exactly am I figuring out the context for both humans and AI, because that's necessary, right? Because traditional SEO and LLM SEO will go hand in hand. We cannot abandon one for the other one. So that's the fourth part. And at last comes the content syndication. Content syndication is basically you getting all of your content pieces and context pieces out exactly where your ICP is hanging out. So for example, let's say there's a Reddit post out there about where can I find the best coffee. I'll push out a genuine comment with my link or something like that, right? It's basic mention exercise that we have been doing for a long time now. It's just, It has been contextualized better.
Yep.
So I do that and that's it. So in a fish eye view, that's the entire framework we are using. There are a lot of growth hacks that we use in that. There are a lot of black hat, I'm not sure if black hat is the right word to use, but yeah, sort of gray hat things that we are using right now. And at last comes the tracking part. So we are using 5 levels tracking. Because we don't have any Google Search Console or GA for LLM tracking, what we do is, okay, so there's a number. When you use ChatGPT personally, you will notice that only about 1 out of 15 times ChatGPT will give you a citation or a link. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it will only throw the text at you, right?
Yeah.
What's happening is, you will copy the text, you will copy the brand name, you go to Google, you search for it, and automatically you will see a spike in your branded searches.
Yep.
So that's first signal to see, okay, we are actually getting some viewership on ChatGPT or other LLMs. Second part is, when you go to your Google Analytics, you check your source, you will definitely see ChatGPT, Perplexity, Bard, DeepSeek, and Gemini. So from there you can get an idea. Whatever number you're getting, for example, let's say you're getting 100 sessions from ChatGPT in a day. 15 is the brand impression that you have gotten from ChatGPT. And the third part comes in, wherein you can simply create a form or ask people who are booking a call or landing on a website about how did they hear about you. It's simply ChatGPT, right? It's a basic exercise. So yeah, that's the entire framework we're using right now. There are a lot of different things so one very weird thing that we have tried and worked, and that in a span of less than a week, is just below the content piece that we have wrote on our website, we wrote this text. When someone searches for ChatGPT on XYZ query, this is the answer. And for some very weird reason, about 10 out of 50 times, we got our domain as the answer. It's more of like a gray hat thing. So you remember about 10 years back, people used to stuff a lot of keywords on the website, mark them with white color, so that Google can fetch it, but people cannot read it. It's kind of the same thing. So that's the thing. We're really experimenting LLM SEO on 5 domains as of now. We're working with 3 clients for LLM SEO specifically, and also working on our main domain. So yeah, that's where we are. And I think I blabbed enough.
No, that's beautiful. Yeah. So, with traditional SEO right now, it's, I would say, all about backlinks, right?
Okay.
You have a lot of people creating a bunch of content. Most of it's decent, right? And it's going to come down to how many quality links are you acquiring? So would you say that the equivalent of that with LLM SEO are going to be these brand mentions like on forums and things of that nature? Is that going to be the new link building?
In a way, yes. Okay, so think of it. This is segmentation, right? Yeah. One is the mention part. Second is how backlinks have no follow and do follow, right? LLMs does not work that way because it's technically fetching their data from APIs, browsing capabilities, and they're also browsing the entire internet, right? So whenever you're putting your brand name out, so for example, if I ask for the best podcaster, best tech podcaster on ChatGPT right now, and your name, Jared, has been mentioned already multiple times without any link, or let's say even with a misspelling, there's a high chance any LLM will fetch it, right? So in a way, yes, mentions are equivalent to backlinks, but you also have to attach it with a lot of different things. So for example, one thing that we have noticed, especially working with our clients and with all the experimentations we are doing right now, is when we write a lot of quotable content on a content piece, which AI can actually just copy paste or can use to just throw at someone who's searching for the right thing, we are getting more traction. And this is basically on a content piece, but the moment, for example, let's say if I am pushing out 5 questions from Quora right now about something about, let's say, selling this coffee again, right? The moment I answer it, let's say I ask some of my friends to answer the same question in different ways. And I ask all of them to write in a way wherein they just put one sentence which is in a quotable manner. So they're technically mentioning the same thing, but the way to write it is different. And the way to write it is the art, I think, which is making us rank on ChatGPT.
Yes. So that's exactly, that's what I'm getting at is I think Quora, I think Reddit, I think all these little niche forums, they're about to get spammed to death. I hate to say it, but that's, I think where this is headed, right?
I agree. In fact, I'm the one who's spamming it. And
yeah. I love it. So let's go back to content. I want to get some practical ideas on how a user, average small business owner can improve their rankings. Let's take a local business. Let's take a local dentist. Okay. Local dentist, they want to get ranked in these LLMs. Let's say they're already ranking pretty well in Google, top 3, top 5, doing well there, but they're not showing up in the LLMs. What do they need? How do they improve the context on their website so that ChatGPT recognizes them as an authority?
Okay, so honestly, they have to figure out, I'm just looking for something to fetch, honestly.
Yes.
So, okay, perfect. Again, this airport. When you work at Google, right, you look at, for example, for dentist, right? Best dentist, New York, for example, right? This would be someone's target keyword because that's the most profitable keyword for a dentist in New York, right? Now, when you're working towards this, you create a map wherein you start creating cluster content, right? So, for example, you will look for something like most affordable dentist in New York or best dentist in New York for root canals or something like that, right?
Yes.
Similarly, you have to figure out the context. So right now, when it comes to the LLM part, we have not yet worked towards the local businesses. We have only been focusing on SaaS plus agencies. But when it comes to dentists specifically, I think the art will be to go to ChatGPT directly, manually search for your queries and see what exactly is coming out. Once you see that, you will also understand after the evolution of ChatGPT, one thing that has happened is there's a lot of content spamming happening all over the internet. The best part is everyone is so lazy, they're just copy pasting the entire GPT content.
Yeah.
Correct. The best part is for us, right? Because we can make quality content.
Yeah.
The worst part is people have to go through a lot of content. They have to filter the entire thing. And that's where GPT comes to the rescue. Correct. So now it comes to dentists specifically, best dentists in New York. Their first step would be to go to ChatGPT and search for the best dentist in New York, best XYZ for root canals in New York, and XYZ. Search for about 5 to 6 prompts. See what exact results are you getting. Okay, map it out and see, are these coming from Reddit? Are these coming from Quora? And if you're not being able to find that out, just go to Perplexity, because Perplexity gives you sources when they're answering something. So that's a better way to find sources. Once you have the source, go to those links, understand what's happening. If it's a Reddit piece, if it's a Quora piece, just drop your comment. That's a very beginning, very initial step that will help you rank higher. Okay, because the idea is not to rank at the top first position on LLMs. The idea is to be the answer of it, be the answer of the most relevant question. So yeah, so mapping out the sources. Once you have the sources, see where you can actually put some information out, where you can actually put some comment, where you can actually put some insight, or basically how can you get your name, stick to it. If possible, yes, great, do that. If not, you have to figure out what other competitors can you ask to create a guest post, or maybe reach out to them to talk about you. So for example, we noticed that we are getting some inquiries from on a website, and people are saying that they found us through ChatGPT for AISO. The fact is we don't have an AISO page on a website. And we noticed this happened after the Twitter thread went viral, the one which led us to speaking right now, right? Mm-hmm. So this thread was about AISO. It was associated with my name. My name was associated with my website, and the entire link happened somehow. I'm still trying to figure out how exactly, but yeah. So just figure out the source, figure out how you can get your name stick to the sources. If you can, better. If you cannot, just figure out any of your competitor. For example, let's say ChatGPT is fetching the data from MailChimp, reach out to MailChimp's competitor for a guest post. This is the top level thing, honestly, because context creation and content creation will go hand in hand, and you just have to figure out the source. That's it.
Yep.
Once you figure out the source, it's very easy for anyone to rank on LLMs.
Yes.
It's just the hardest part is to keep yourself ranking on LLMs. That's it.
Correct. And I think that's where it's going to come down to tackling this ranking issue from as many different angles as possible. And I'll give you an example. First off, I love that you said, see what's ranking, right? Because when I do searches, and again, it depends on the niche, sometimes I'll see a bunch of Wikipedia pages as the sources. I did a search the other day for kind of the best doctor, shoulder surgeon, knee surgeon, something of that effect. And they were all doctors with Wikipedia pages. And the Wikipedia pages are what showed up. So if I were looking to go after that niche, I'd be thinking, great, I need to get a Wikipedia page. There have been separate instances where I've seen Listicles show up. In fact, I just did a search just now for, who's the best SEO agency. And there's a listicle that does not rank well in Google, but apparently it's authoritative in ChatGPT. And 5 or so of the businesses that are mentioned on that search are linked from that one listicle article. Now, here's what the business owners need to do. They probably need to do all these things, right? Because you don't know how these LLMs are going to work. If they happen to start showing Wikipedia pages, you better have a Wikipedia page. If they start doing listicles, I would be like, hey, if I wanted to get ranked for that particular keyword, best SEO agency, I would be like contacting that company that has the listicle, and I'd say, what would it cost to be number one? All of these listicles are pay to play these days. So I could get listed on there. And then the next thing you know, that's feeding through to ChatGPT. And now I'm one of the best SEO agencies because I pay $500 a month for, a listing on that article. In addition, you've got all your forum brand mentions going on. You've probably got to hit it from a bunch of angles. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely right with this. There's 2 things I would like to add. The very first one that I missed was the results that you get on Bing are more likely to be translated to ChatGPT and Perplexity. Okay. So make sure that you're also optimizing for Bing as P1 because that's important. And second part is, traditional SEO has been there for a long time now. LLM SEO is quite new. And no one, including me in the entire world, knows how to crack it up exactly. Because it's just evolving every day, every hour, every second. And we are seeing, for example, we were ranking for XYZ query in US a day before yesterday. And yesterday someone told me that we are not. So a location element has also been added there, apart from contextual. So everything is changing very rapidly.
Yeah.
But what you said totally makes sense. When you don't have much of answers to your questions, right? You do exactly what you're saying. So just copy what competitors are doing, right? And we have been doing it for traditional SEO for a long time now. We just do what our competitors are doing. If they have a Wikipedia page, we'll also have a Wikipedia page. If they're on Instagram, we'll also have an Instagram page. So yeah, exactly. Totally agree with that.
Yeah. I can see kind of this guest post industry that's obviously very large now in the SEO world, turning maybe into a listicle industry where they're like, listen, $200 for a guest post if you want a traditional guest post, but if you want a listicle, $300. Hey, if any, guest post companies are listening to this, there's a free tip and maybe you can send a $2,000 credit for that. But I can see, especially with these listicles, it seems like this is becoming more and more a trusted source of information, ChatGPT. But I wanted to ask, how similar, you said that you were able to get your own website, obviously ranked, you're getting clients ranked. How similar do you feel like these algorithms are across all of the individual LLMs? So as an example, if I get ranked in ChatGPT for best SEO agency or, whatever it may be, is there a good chance that Perplexity is going to rank me, also on their list and some of these others? Or do you feel like they're all really different?
There are 4 major LLMs, which is ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude. For some reason, we have not been able to crack Claude till now, and we're still working on that. So talking about the other 3, ChatGPT mostly gives you the same results or is likely to give you the same result that is from Bing. So optimizing Bing is the answer to ChatGPT in the very first initial stage. Perplexity is the easiest to crack. The reason being, if you're optimizing right for Google and Bing, and if you're creating the right content plus context relevance, there's a very high chance you'll start getting ranked on Perplexity. Plus, the best part is Perplexity gives you sources every time you search for something. So it is technically giving you more traffic than ChatGPT and everything.
Yeah.
It's just the high intent is more towards ChatGPT than Perplexity. Yeah. And the third part is Gemini. Gemini's results are more tilted towards Google. But one transition that we saw, I was speaking with one of my clients about, I think, a day before yesterday, and he mentioned this amazing thing that he was searching for the best XYZ tool. And you see this AI answer in Google, right? When you search for something at the very top.
Yeah.
It gave the list from the 10th position search result instead of the first. So we looked into it and we realized that this article was ranking at the first position on Bing and DuckDuckGo.
Wow, how interesting.
So there has to be an amalgamation of Bing plus Google, and you have to figure that out. So you cannot let Bing Webmaster Tools be right there.
Sure.
Plus, it's very good. And you also have to make sure GSC is being treated well. That's it.
Yeah. Do you, SEO for the last, we'll call it the last 19 years. Let's call it before midway through 2024. I got started in 2005 with SEO. Okay. SEO for me was Google SEO. Even when I was coming onto the scene in 2005, like Yahoo wasn't really big. Bing wasn't really a big deal. Like it was Google. Like when you said you do SEO, like this is all about Google. Right. I now see a future where you want to get ranked on Bing, you're going to hire a Bing SEO. You want to get ranked on ChatGPT, you're going to hire a ChatGPT SEO. Perplexity, you got a Perplexity SEO. Do you feel like we're going to get into this world where to have 100% search market share, you have to hire all these different experts because this is becoming so complicated and convoluted? Or do you think there is going to be a point where it's like, hey, I could just hire you and you can do all my SEO for me?
I think the approach will be much like how you create GTM, right? You always choose your distribution channels. You always choose, okay, I'll only work on Twitter, not on LinkedIn. People will also start implementing this LLM model plus search engine model, distribution, everything into the GTM. Are we focusing on ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini? We have to choose 2, that's it. Yeah. So I think that the reason being, for example, if you have 3 people, 3 agencies, one for Gemini, one for Perplexity, and one for ChatGPT, it's very hard, first of all, the communication. Second, just in case if they're optimizing for the same query, we don't want a lot of spam happening on the internet for the same thing. It might just lead to the entire domino downfall, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
So, and that's the thing. Google's monopoly is technically breaking right now.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is it's making sense, but yeah, in terms of functionality and making it execute, I find it hard.
Yeah, I understand. One of the things you mentioned at the very beginning, I want to come back to it because it seems like it's becoming a bigger deal. I actually had a podcast this morning. We talked about this as well, and that was search experience optimization. Talk to us about what that is and where you see that going.
So search experience optimization is simply, up until now, you have been writing to make one thing, which is to make Google happy, right? You're following all of the norms. You're making sure Google Search Console has no errors, which is impossible. You're making sure you're putting buying all the backlinks. You're increasing your DR, blah, 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 blah. When it comes to search experience optimization, it's mostly about whatever content or whatever technicality that is going to make your reader feel happy, bounce less, and invest more of their time. So, for example, a very slight change that we have noticed is, especially in traditional SEO. So, for example, let's say if you're writing pre-podcast production checklist that everyone should know of, and let's say it has 25 pointers. Yep. If you're writing it as a simple paragraph with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, versus if you're writing as this to-do mark wherein people can actually click on it and it will get crossed off, strike through, the second one will have a high ranking automatically, even though if it is not SEO optimized or even though if it has less number of backlinks. Because we realize the user experience matters more now, regardless of whether you're optimizing for LLMs or for traditional SEO. And the second thing is LLMs are more tilted towards utility than authority. Correct? So in a way, search experience optimization is you technically making sure that the people who are reading this content are happy, they are being fulfilled, they don't have to go back and jump to the second page or second or third result to read something which you have missed out. So that's the entire thing. Fulfilling your reader's intent. And in the back end, in the backstage, it comes down to what you can actually do to make sure that AIs and robots are also liking this up.
Totally makes sense. You know, it's funny because I would say 10, 12 years ago, I wrote a report kind of outlining some of the trends that I saw coming. And I talked about usability. I talked about conversion optimization getting rolled into SEO in a sense, because you have all these crappy websites that were getting ranked. And I'm like, you know, there's just no way that this is the future. You have to provide a quality experience. Eventually, Google took things like bounce rate into consideration in their algorithm. So if you do provide a crappy experience here in 2025, you're going to get dinged for that. It's just funny. I remember for 2 or 3 years, I'm like, this is coming. This is coming. This is going to be a big deal. Never became a big deal. Now here in 2025, you know, we're talking about the merge of SEO and UX and CRO and stuff. It's just funny to me.
It's been long due.
Yeah, it's 100%. So is there anything else that you feel like marketers, business owners need to understand to really take advantage of AI, LLM SEO here in 2025?
I think 2 or 3 things.
Okay.
Most of us have not focused towards, as you mentioned, the bounce rate and average engagement time on page. So one thing that you will notice is the moment you start getting traffic from ChatGPT or from other LLMs, the average engagement time on the page will be at least 5x or 6x higher than whatever you're getting from Google. The reason being high relevance. People are actually searching for it. There's a contextual element to it, and people are landing on the website, and that's it. If it's very low, then you really need to change the content in the website. And link building earlier has now been changed to feeding the model, which is basically mentions and getting yourself to the answers when people are asking the right questions to you. And
is that i.e. spam?
It is i.e. spam. It has to be done in a nicely manner, though.
Yes. Obviously, yeah. If you do it in a crappy way, I think it can backfire a little bit. But yes,
it's model feeding. Yes, it's model feeding, but you have to do it in a way wherein, for example, if you use Reddit, you know people are blunt. People are just blunt there. People will just shit at your face. They'll throw at your face, right? The moment you spam there, you will get your karma back, the negative karma.
Yep.
So you really have to make sure that you're also providing enough insights, enough value in your answer, plus mentioning your name or getting your whatever you want to quoted in your particular paragraph. That should be the goal. So just apart from the metrics that you focus on, right? So for example, most of us focus on the top 20 keywords: positioning, users, session, click, impressions, etc. The time is figure out how many prompts are you getting ranked on or mentioned on. What are the top pages that are getting traffic from these LLMs? what's the average engagement time on that, figure out the intent behind it, work more towards that because that's the lowest hanging fruit for you right now. Mm-hmm. And then most importantly, do not by any chance let your bounce rate go bad. The reason being, we have noticed this, and you have been working SEO for a long time now, so you know already that if your content is ranking on page 1, position 1, someone comes to it, they read the entire thing, they hover through the entire thing for 1 minute, but then they go back to the second result. That's a big red flag for Google.
Yeah.
And automatically it will push it on. And recently, Google has also mentioned that if people stop reading your content, or if the bounce rate becomes too high, they will just diminish your article from the result. So
Makes sense.
That's it, I think.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. I think it's phenomenal. Keep your content high quality, provide a great user experience, get your brand out there. Obviously, get a Wikipedia page, get listed on some listicles.
Not from Fiverr, though. Not from Fiverr.
No, not from Fiverr. Not from Fiverr. And then make sure, obviously, that you're following Apoorv on X. Apoorv, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and an honor chatting with you today. Really appreciate it. We might have to have a follow-up here in 6 months because I'm sure, as you said, this is changing every day. We'll have to see kind of where things have gone. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your time, Jared. This was phenomenal. This was good. You had a lot of good questions, honestly. One of the most insightful chats I've had recently for LLM SEO specifically.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. For people that want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
I have an omnichannel presence, but yeah, Twitter is my V1 right now. Then comes LinkedIn, Threads, and I'm also on YouTube. But yeah, let's stick it to Twitter.
Okay, very good. We'll link that up in the show notes. Thanks again.
Perfect. Thank you so much.